Right. So what is PICOS? PICOS stands for Population, Intervention, Comparator, Outcomes, and Study Design. The thing is that you need to define all of these things for your particular meta-analysis in order for it to become a whole study. And that's what a PICOS is. It's kind of a backbone, or kind of a, you can say, a skeleton of the topic, or of whatever the meta-analysis that you're doing, or whatever the research you're trying to accomplish. So as you can see, I'm gonna take you by examples. First of all, population. Population should always mention the disease that you're taking in, the disease that you're gonna see. So, for example, if we're taking the example that we considered in the last two videos, the migraine and Zweggy one. So you can see that our population are people who have migraine, or people who have the disease of migraine. That's the population. Then our intervention. Intervention basically means the drug that we are looking at. The drug is Zweggy, and we're going to look at people who have been taking Zweggy for their migraine. So that's kind of narrows it down. You see, in each and every step, we're going to narrow our search down. The first step was migraine. As you can see right here, the migraine is this whole big green circle with all of these studies that it has. Let me show you. If I open this right here, and if I type PubMed, and if I type migraine, it's going to show me 48,638 results. That's this green circle, right? Now, if we go on the intervention is the Zweggy, right? Zweggy is our intervention. So if we consider intervention to be Zweggy, this shows that um, out of all these articles, we're just gonna focusing on those who have Zweggy in them. So we're gonna write migraine and Zweggy. You see, I'm not using or, I'm using and. The reason I'm using and is because we need articles who have migraine and Zweggy both in them. And if you give me just 1 second, it will show the results with both of these studies. Right, here we go. So if we write just migraine and Zweggy, we get only 31 results. So you see how much it has narrowed down. Then we're gonna focus on placebo as well, because we're looking for trials. We're looking for clinical trials that compare placebo and Zweggy alongside for migraine. So you see, by each and every step, we're gonna narrow our search down more and more. And even if I add placebo, there's a very good chance that we're just gonna get four or five, like you see, eight art results only. So that's the main thing. By each and every step, we're gonna narrow our search down more and more until we're left with just the very few articles that we need to include, and which is actually in this example. The comparator we have as placebo. Comparator basically means what is the thing that you're gonna compare your intervention against. In our this particular example, the migraine is the disease, the Zweggy is the intervention, and hence the comparator is placebo. Then the outcomes, we don't add it in the PICOs. Like, outcomes are only defined only if we are running a very refined research, or a very you can say selective research, or but that's not the usual practice, so we don't add it in our PICOS table. And lastly, study designs are the things that we're gonna include. Basically, we're gonna include trials. We're not gonna include any other type of study design which include cross section or cohort or case study, etc. If you don't know about different study designs, let me know in the comments. I'll be making a video on it then. And if you guys do know, then I think that there's no need for a video, right? So if you do want a video, just let me know in the comments section. Like, just go and type on, yo Fizan, we need video on etc topic, and I'll be sure to make it within a week or so. Yeah. So this is basically the Venn diagram. It is also known as a stacked Venn diagram. You see, we have this bigger stack, then smaller, then even smaller, and then this very small stack which we're gonna include. Okay, so now we're gonna be on how to run a PICO search. First of all, run a preliminary search. Like I said, always migraine and Zweggy. Just write migraine and Zweggy. Go right here, add a filter systematic review and search. If you see that there has been an already a systematic review or meta in 2024, then don't run it. Don't go ahead with your research, because it's not gonna get published, to be very, very honest. But if you see that there hasn't been any meta, or there hasn't been any systematic review, then go ahead with it. Okay, so that's how you run a preliminary search. Now, there's another thing. Some people go to Google Scholar and they actually run their preliminary research on Google Scholar. It's actually a good thing as well, because Google Scholar is a very extensive, you can say, database for all the articles. But the problem is that there aren't any proper ways of conducting a systematic search on Google Scholar. So we can't use it for our Prisma chart or for our meta-analysis. But what we can use it is to just get a idea of our topic, right? I wouldn't personally recommend using Google Scholar for a meta-analysis, but as you can see, we got like 306 results as compared to some 18 or 81 for uh, PubMed. So you can like kind of run a very good research, uh, preliminary research, especially for Google Scholar, but not for normal meta. And if I write meta here, as you can see, it's still giving 173 results. So it's kind of a very, you can say, extensive database for running a preliminary search. Okay, now we're gonna go to this thing, which is a PICOS table. I'll be uploading this in a Google Drive and then sharing the link with you guys so that you also have this template. This is probably the best template for a PICOS table. In this, we have all of the PICOS parameters along with the mesh and entry terms. Now, what is mesh? Okay, imagine you have Oxford Dictionary, but it's for your medical sciences, or it's for doctorate, or it's for MBBS, right? So mesh are actually the Oxford Dictionary for medicine. If you want to search anything, for example, migraine, you can see we have different types of migraine right here, like right in front of you. So if I search migraine, it gives me this word migraine disorders. This is the main thing, which is the mesh key term, or this is the you can say word in the dictionary that we use to describe this class of disabling primary headaches. That's what a migraine is. So we're gonna just copy this, Control C, and we're gonna add it right here, population, and click on here, just migraine disorders. You see, this is our mesh term. Okay. Now all of these right here, these are the entry terms. Now imagine you and your friend have published an article using the term migraine disorders. But another person from your same university, they also published a research on migraine, right? But they, instead of using migraine disorders, they used the word migraine in their research. Or for example, acute confusional migraine, or let's just say acute migraine. Now if people use, or six headache, or headache, and anything, literally anything at all. Now if people be using different words, how are you gonna get the articles? If for example someone has used, instead of migraine, they have used some other word, how are you gonna access that article if you only search for migraine, right? You have to search for all the other words that other people might be using. So you're just gonna click here, copy all of this till here, Control C, come here, click here, and Control V. It's gonna paste all of these mesh terms, right? So you need to add all of these in your search results. Now I'm gonna just tell you the difference here. You see, if I click on migraine and I go right here to PubMed and I search only migraine disorder, I have 757 results. And if I clear all, I have 37,478 results, right? But if I go to PubMed again, and this time I click on advanced, I click on migraine disorder, add, and now I'm gonna copy disorder migraine, paste, and I'm gonna add it or. Then I'm gonna add this one, and I'm gonna click on Control V, add with or. Similarly, I'm just gonna add 5 to 7 of these terms, and then I'm just gonna show you an increase in the number of articles. Now, why am I adding these with or? The reason I'm adding these with or is because if we want all of the articles that may be considering either this word or this or this or this. Like basically, these are same words for the same disease, right? These are synonyms of the same disease. So if we are adding synonyms of the same disease, we're gonna add them with or. Okay, this right here and this right here. Let's just search. The first search we had 37,478 articles, right? And now if I search again, I have 48,000, 6,647 results. I mean, I just increased somewhat, like 11,000 results right in front of you by adding only like what? Six of these terms out of this whole, I don't know, 30 or so terms, right? That is why we use all of these terms. Then I'm just gonna go to intervention. I'm gonna click the Veggie Band. Now it did say that it doesn't have a mesh term for the Veggie Band. The Veggie Band mesh term BHV-3500. It still says there is no outcome found, right? So now we're gonna go for brand name. We have got Zaspert. Still no article, right? Right, so we're not finding any results. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on Zevegipent drug class. Calcitonin gene related receptor antagonist. We're gonna control C. We're gonna control V, this whole thing right here. And there we go. We saw our mesh term. So now we're gonna click on this right here. But now you're gonna say that there are all other drugs for CGRP antagonist, right? So why are we gonna use this term? Why not just use the CGRP antagonist, Zevegipent? The thing is, Zevegipent is not a mesh term. So we're just gonna add this in the mesh term, and then we're gonna add all of these entry terms for our study. And when we get all of the results, we're gonna exclude out any result that does not have Zevegipent in it, and we're gonna include those who have Zevegipent. You see, you get my point. It's gonna be a sort of a tedious process because we have to now basically go through all of the other examples of CGRP antagonists, but that's the proper way of doing that. And now that we want the comparator, that's a placebo. So we're gonna click here. We're gonna click on placebo, and it's gonna give us this placebos. We're not gonna click on placebo effect. Placebo effect is actually a term from psychology. That's not right here. That's not will be used right here. We're gonna click on placebos, and lastly, we're gonna click on their terms, entry terms. As you can see, it has the heading entry term, and it's only just sham treatment. It's actually good for us. Now, outcomes, we're not gonna define them right now. So this, and as for study designs, we're gonna click on um, we're just gonna click on clinical trials for now. We're not gonna include randomized control trial. We're just gonna clicking on control trials. Chalo, let's say. But actually, this would be even better. Yeah, publication type. This is even better. So we're gonna click on clinical trial. Control C. Add it right here. Control V. And then actually, you know what? Let's just move this right here. Yeah. And then we're gonna click on intervention study. If you're doing a study on only randomized control trial, then you're going to click on this thing right here. Only the randomized control trial as a publication type. You see, it has basically no entry term, and you're just going to copy this and paste it right here. But for the purpose of this video, we're not going to include only RCT, we're going to include clinical trials as well. Any sort of clinical trials, to be very honest, because we don't know if there have been enough RCTs on it to make a meta-analysis. Maybe we will have to include clinical trials as well. The the first line, or you can say the priority of any researcher, is to only include RCTs. If you don't have RCTs, you can include any controlled clinical trial. If you don't have these, you can click on clinical trials, and if you don't even have clinical trials, then you can click on observational studies, this observational study, right? And then what you're basically going to do, copy this, and then you copy these three things. Okay. So that's the hierarchy in going first try for RCT, then control trial, then a clinical trial, then go to observational studies. And I think I should just end this video right here. We're gonna learn how to use this whole PICOS table for our PubMed or other databases search in the next one. Okay, thank you so much, and let the outro roll now.